Clients and breaching their employment agreement.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case 2112, Landy versus Wyatt.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Miss Wyatt, when did you become an esthetician?
I was licensed as an esthetician in March of 2021.
Okay. Miss Landy, this is what your case is about. You hired Miss Wyatt for your business. You have a spa business? Is that what it is?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
How long have you had the business?
I've been in operations as an S-Corp since 2016. I worked for myself as a sole proprietor since 2009.
How many employees did you have in 2020 and 21?
In 2020, it was during the pandemic. We were shut down most of the time. In 2021, there was up to 5 employees, not including myself, Your Honor. It was 6 of us total.
Does that include Miss Wyatt?
It does, Your Honor.
When did she start working for you?
She started working for me in February of 2021 as a receptionist. I hired her as a receptionist.
Okay. Not an esthetician?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Were you going to school at the time?
I was not hired in February. I didn't get my license until March of 2021.
What the plaintiff says is you were hired in February. She probably has documents to work as a receptionist.
I was not hired. I didn't even have my license then.
Did you have any proof that she started in February?
Your Honor, I have proof that she...
Was she on your payroll?
She was on my payroll.
Okay, so that
what we have document of in that is that she started brand new as a receptionist. Maybe it was in March of 21.
Okay.
I have my first paycheck stub.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
Alishani produces a document, then hands it to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
This is a pay stub from April.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This is your claim. Your claim is that when Miss Wyatt came to work for you, subsequently as an esthetician, which she was, because she counted her among your 6 employees in 2021, that she had signed a contract which provided for certain restrictions should she leave. You don't have that contract.
I cannot find it. It was supposed to be.
Okay. You don't have that contract.
Nope.
Miss Wyatt, when you went to work for the plaintiff, do you recall signing a document?
I do recall signing documents stating like what my job title was and like the documents that would go towards what we went over and things like that for training purposes.
Okay.
Your Honor, I have non-solicitation, non-disclosure agreement documents of employees. There's 4.
Okay. Is this an employee of yours?
No, it is not, Your Honor.
Ever? Was ever?
Never been an employee.
Were either one of those 2 people employees, former employees?
Tabitha Brown was.
Was this a former employee of yours?
Tabitha Brown was a former employee.
At approximately the same time?
She was an employee of mine for 5 years up until April 17th, Your Honor.
Did she voluntarily leave or did you?
She voluntarily left.
Okay. Did she voluntarily leave to go to work with the defendant?
I did not know that until the day defendant left.
But ultimately you determined that she did?
Sure did.
Okay. She was with you for 5 years?
Sure. Yes.
I assume that if you have a business and you don't have this contract, which you allege if you could produce, had a specific non-compete clause in it, but you don't have it. She remembers signing something, but she doesn't remember exactly what it was. Can you stand up? Tell me your name.
Tabitha Brown.
Miss Brown, did you sign a contract when you went to work for the plaintiff?
Yes, I didn't remember that I did.
You did?
Yes.
But you did?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a copy of her?
I sure do. And
Just a second.
Okay.
Do you have a copy of it?
I don't.
No, but you have a copy of what she signed?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Your Honor.
No. Just let me see the copy. I'm trying to reconstruct something just to get some general parameters of this case.
Angela hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Tabitha Brown, March 22nd, 2022.
Yes.
Different.
Oh.
That is not the non-solicitation, non-disclosure agreement. That's a different agreement. Those are contracts she has signed.
Oh, well, you gave me 2 things. What is this?
One is her non-disclosure, non-solicitation, and also the second one is the role definition of an esthetician working for me.
Looking at the non-compete.
Judy scans the document.
Okay, this is pretty standard. Kevin, would you show this to Miss Brown? And I also want you to show it to Miss Wyatt.
Kevin hands the document to Tabitha.
That clearly your signature.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And so that says within 1 year of your leaving Miss Landy's employment, you will not work in a related field within 7 miles from her current place of business.
Yes.
When you left her employment, did you go to work with Miss Wyatt?
We left to share. Yes.
The answer is either yes
Yes.
or no. So you did. You
Yes.
went to work with Miss Wyatt. And when you went with Miss Wyatt, that was sometime in 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
What month?
May of 2022.
Your Honor, that's incorrect.
Shh. Don't. I'm not needing your help.
Okay.
Caption, coming up.
In this case, you don't have a physical signed contract, so I don't see why you think that you have all documentation.
I don't have documentation.
That's what I'm saying.
Due to the fact that I believe she stole the information out of my filing cabinet.
Alishani shakes her head. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Angela, Alishani, and Tabitha.
Angela Landy claims her former employee, Alishani Wyatt, stole clients and breached their employment agreements.
Now, does Miss Wyatt have a location, a shop, a store, a place of business, or does she operate out of her residence?
We share a space
You share a space where?
at a salon studios in Valencia.
Have you calculated the distance between that space and Miss Landy's office?
I have, ma'am.
And how far is it?
3.4 miles.
Well, you're not allowed to do that, pursuant to the terms of your agreement.
Correct. I don't have a copy of that agreement, ma'am.
Well,
I have it now, but at the time I didn't. It's from 5 years ago, and I never received a copy of that. So it was.
I don't know whether you received a copy of it or not. It's your signature, and it's pretty standard fare. It's not that it's not standard fare. So, Miss Wyatt, what I have to do is sort of put together whether or not I believe that you, in fact, had the same document that you signed.
Correct.
And I believe that you did.
Okay.
Despite the fact she says that you probably took it when you left. I can't describe that conduct to her. But this is pretty standard fare, that within 1 year it's not too onerous, it's not within a 50-mile radius, it's a 7-mile radius. 3.5 miles are certainly well within that. You could have found some place that was 8 miles away, and then we wouldn't be in this difficulty. But you didn't. Anyway, so you were in violation of your contract when you left and went to work and shared space with Miss Wyatt. Okay, but you're not suing her.
No, ma'am.
Why?
Because I know the case would be dismissed because of the lack of solicitation between clients and of a former employee.
Well, not necessarily. Those two stand alone.
Your Honor, if I may say, there was a small claims action against Tabitha, but because there was no evidence.
What do you mean there was no evidence?
I had no evidence, the way I have evidence today with Alishani, that Tabitha solicited clientele.
Okay. Now you can sit down.
Thank you.
So that small claims case was dismissed.
Yeah, I have nothing there, which I learned. I have nothing to stand on what I have to stand on today.
Well, what you had to stand on, Miss Landy, which I don't understand, you had a non-compete agreement with her. She's in violation of that agreement. That's all you need. And she violated this agreement. She went to work within 7 miles of your place of business. So I don't understand that. In this case, you don't have a physical signed contract. I have to reconstruct whether I believe that there was one. So I don't see why you think that you have all documentation.
I don't have documentation.
That's what I'm saying.
Due to the fact that I believe she stole the information out of my filing cabinet.
I don't know whether she did or not. Right now, you say it's a lost document. You can't find it.
Correct.
Okay. And the defendant acknowledges, and it's usually custom and practice in the business, to sign a non-compete when you have that kind of service industry. Right. And I'm prepared to accept judicial notice of the fact that when you go to work for a beauty salon or a hair salon or a spa, you develop a clientele within the spa. You can't open up a store next door and steal the clients. Most people have people sign this, and you did, and you had it done 5 years ago. So Ms. Brown is in violation of this contract.
That is correct.
Why somebody dismissed that, I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, so now you're going to demonstrate to me that Miss Wyatt solicited clients of yours.
Yes,
Show me.
Okay. In July of 2021, Alishani was trained to be an esthetician.
Let's not go back to ground zero. I'm not interested. I am assuming for the purposes of this hearing that she signed a non-compete clause, just as Ms. Brown did. So let's start from there, and I asked you a very simple question. I said, what proof do you have that she solicited clients when she left?
Your Honor, my solicitation is here.
Fine, I'd like to take a look at it.
And my witness, Kennedy, is here as well.
Well, let's go to Miss Kennedy. Was Miss Kennedy a client of yours?
Yes, Your Honor.
Would you stand up, please?
The witness rises.
Your first name?
Kennedy. Kennedy.
Last name?
Johnson.
Ms. Johnson, how long had you been a client of Miss Landy's spa?
I want to say about 2019, Your Honor. I was there before the pandemic and was there for a while before it shut down due to COVID.
Were you there after it reopened?
Yes.
After COVID. What kind of work do you have done there?
I get sugared, which is using sugar, lemon, and I believe it's honey and water, and you mix it together and it takes hair off of you.
And who did that for you?
I went through many of the clientele and the employees at Angela's shop at the time. So there were several people that, Alicia was one of them, as well as Tabitha.
How many times did the defendant do the waxing? Sugaring.
I want to say at least 5 times.
Do you recall when she left Miss Landry's?
I do not remember the date. However, I do remember getting a call from her company. I got a call saying...
From Miss Landry's company?
Yes.
Yes.
Your Honor, it's Landy.
Landy.
Yes, from Miss Landy's company. They had called me on my cell phone and told me that she was no longer there, and they had told me she was no longer there.
You can't tell me what somebody from her shop told you. That's hearsay. I want to know about the solicitation. If there was.
Yes. So, one point while Alicia, the defendant, was there.
Sorry. Do you understand?
Yes.
While the defendant was there, I had gotten sugared on my face. It was a small patch test, and after she had texted me, gave me her personal number, and told me if I had any reaction to text her and let her know. After I texted her, I had...
And this was while she was working for the plaintiff?
Yes, that is correct.
Go ahead.
And as a while, I started having a small reaction, and I had texted her and sent her a picture of my face and told her that I was starting to have a small reaction. I did not receive anything back for a little bit, and then I want to say around April, late March.
Well, when did you text her?
This text for the face patch was earlier, I'd say early March, maybe February.
Do you have the text?
I believe she gave it to you.
The third one, Your Honor.
A text reads, "Hey Kennedy, I forgot to tell you if you wanted to book with me again, I can put you in my books. I'll be in Valencia."
What date did Miss Wyatt leave your employ?
April 22nd is when I got her immediate resignation.
April 22nd,
2022.
And is this what you're referring to? Hey, Kennedy, I forgot to tell you if you wanted to book with me again, I could put you in my books. I'll be in Valencia.
That's correct.
And is Valencia where your shop is?
3.2 miles away, Your Honor.
No. Answer my question. I have a question. Is Valencia where your shop is?
No.
That's my question. Why don't you just answer my question?
Okay.
Caption, coming up.
Tell me what she told your attorney. Do you understand?
Even if I have an affidavit?
Is your attorney in the military?
No, I just have a notarized affidavit.
From whom?
My
From
attorney.
Her? No, I don't take affidavits from attorneys.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Angela grins. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Angela and Alishani.
Business owner Angela Landy has accused her former employee, Alishani Wyatt, of taking her clients and breaking their agreement.
So Valencia is not where your shop is. Valencia is where your place of business is.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So you left on the 22nd, is that correct?
That's correct.
On the 20th, 2 days before, you tell Miss Kennedy, because I assumed that this was a planned move of yours, that she could reach you again at your new place of business in Valencia.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well, you're not allowed to do that.
During the services, it's a very intimate service, so you start to gain a relationship with these clients. And through that time, I felt like I had gained a relationship. It wasn't just a client with Kennedy. So
You met her
Yes.
through the plaintiff.
Yes, Your Honor.
You started to work on her through the plaintiff.
Yes, Your Honor.
She had other people work on her other than you.
Yes.
She may have liked you better than the other people. That doesn't diminish the fact that you knew that you weren't supposed to solicit clients. You knew that. I believe that you knew that.
Yes.
Because that's standard fare. So your excuse is you thought you developed a personal relationship with her.
Correct, Your Honor.
How many other people did you develop a personal relationship with?
Majority of the clients that I had who were returning clients of mine, I felt like I had built personal relationships with.
If you're potchking around with somebody's face or scrubbing their body or giving them a scrub to get hair off on every part of the body, then you develop an intimate relationship with somebody. Now, your first name is Kennedy?
Yes.
Kennedy, did you ever go out to dinner with Miss Wyatt?
No, I did not.
She ever invite you to her house?
No, she did not.
Was the only time you ever saw Miss Wyatt while you were having a service?
That is correct.
You see, that's not an intimate relationship. That's just stealing clients, Miss Wyatt.
Okay.
So my question to you is, you're seeking damages, okay? Did you seek injunctive relief?
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
I didn't know about injunctive relief. In addition, because of the staff leaving, because of solicitation, admitted solicitation by Alashani to my attorney, and I have a sworn affidavit for that. Because of that, I ordered them a cease and desist, and they ignored the cease and desist. Alashani told my attorney that she did not
No, you can't tell,
solicit
Bob, you
hearsay.
can't tell me what she told your attorney. Do you understand?
Even if I have an affidavit?
Is your attorney in the military?
No, I just have a notarized affidavit
From whom?
my
From
attorney.
Her? No, I don't take affidavits from attorneys. Okay. It's ridiculous. Are you still in operation, Miss Wyatt?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many people work for, with, or to you?
It's just me. I have my own personal LLC, and she has her own personal LLC, so none of our money is combined.
Miss Wyatt, how many of your former clients from Miss Landy's business followed you?
I would say a good portion. I don't have an exact number.
Yes.
Here you go.
Now, just tell me.
I would say at least...
No.
No, I'm sorry.
I don't want you to say I would say at least. I assume you have names, people.
I have names and people here.
How many of your clients
20.
went to Miss Wyatt?
20.
Not was solicited, follow me very carefully, not solicited by her, but actually left your business to go with her?
Actually left my business to go with her.
20.
Yes, Your
I'd
Honor.
like to see. Does that sound right, Miss Wyatt?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then I don't have to see. She says that that's about right.
Your Honor, I would also like to add that after I left, she did send out a mass text allowing all of the clients who had ever seen me to be aware that I was no longer there. So that also allowed more clients to reach out to me in different aspects.
No, my dear, you made the mistake.
Okay.
You made the mistake by opening up an office within a 7-mile radius, which you can't do.
Okay.
You solicited her clients. I thought maybe just 1 or 2, but 20, that's a lot of clients. 20 recurring clients is a lot of clients. Miss Landy's request in her small claims case is the maximum of the jurisdiction, which is $10,000. And I think that she deserves every penny of that.
Okay.
Because what you did was wrong and a breach of your contract with her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
And I have to tell you something, that's ongoing,
Okay.
just so that you're aware.
Alashani, then Angela.
I felt like the work environment was very unstable.
I have so many people to testify, including employees, that it's not a hostile work environment.
And I was constantly anxious there.
I was doing so much to improve the quality of the business by changing policies and procedures,
I had to do what was best for me and my family. I'm a single mom, so
hiring a business coach, working with an HR team.
let the better business win, I guess.
The better business is won.
Sarah and Judy.
I was a little bit confused. Maybe you can shed some light on it for me. Why the plaintiff wouldn't sue for injunctive relief, because injunctive relief is suing not so much for damages, but to get someone to stop doing something. So in this case, it seemed to me that the proper ask, per se, would be injunctive relief to stop the defendant from operating her business in violation of her contract. But she didn't do that. She sued for damages instead. And I just think that this same problem could keep happening, that I think it's a good lesson for people to educate themselves or hire a lawyer to find the proper relief. Because what's to say that this is going to stop today? I'm sure she'll keep seeing the 20 clients.
Well, she's going to keep seeing the 20 clients. This judgment today was more compensatory than punitive, because if she had taken one client with her, well, she's in violation of the contract, and some token violation would have been appropriate. But she took 20 clients with her.
I got the feeling from you that you weren't exactly in line with the $10,000 number until you heard
Until
about
I heard
20
the 20.
clients.
I mean, that's really
That's a whole business,
some
really.
sort of chutzpah to knowing, and I believe she absolutely knew, she's a smart cookie, knowing that you had a non-compete because her friend, who she also took with her, had the same documents signed in 2017. So, and she's clearly a businesswoman, so that would be a consistent practice of hers. I don't know who took the contract out of the file cabinet. It's for another day. I reconstructed it. I actually don't know why she wouldn't sue for injunctive relief as well as punitive damages. It would have been an option for her.
Yeah.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to Judy Justice. Latar is suing his former clients, Mary and Michael Rhodes, for unpaid demolition work.
Judge Judy enters.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case 2115, Attar versus Rose.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Attar, you were hired to do some, according to you, demolition work and other work at a property owned by Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes. You gave them an estimate for that work. I think the estimate was $11,500. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it was outlined what work you were supposed to do. You started that work, and according to you, at some point there was disagreement with either or both of the Rhodeses, and they stopped payment on a check that they gave you.
Correct.
And the check that they gave you was for $4,200. And then you stopped work for them.
Yes, ma'am, we're finished.
So you're suing them for the canceled check and for other unpaid work that you did that you didn't get paid for.
Correct.
Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes say that they were not satisfied with the quality of your work. It cost them $9,000 to both replace things that were stolen from their property by either you or members of your team, something which I don't think that you question that somebody from your team, not you, somebody from your team may have taken metal property of theirs that they didn't own. So let's go back. Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes, is this a new property to you, or is this a property that you owned for a while?
It's a new property to us.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So is it a private house?
Yes, and we were remodeling it.
Okay, when did you purchase it?
We purchased in January of 2021.
Is it a single-family residence? Yes. How much did you pay for it?
$769,000.
Describe the property to me.
It's in northern Altaloma or Rancho Cucamonga. It's an acre property, has 2 levels on it, and a single-family ranch-style home on it right now. And what we asked him to do was demolition the lower half.
Do you have a photograph?
I do.
I'd like to look at a photograph of what you wanted him to do.
Mary hands photos to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She reviews them.
That's what the lower half looked like before.
So this whole portion you wanted him
correct
to demolish and remove the debris.
And grade flat.
Is that correct, sir?
I can't see from here, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show it to you. To demolish it, flatten it, fill it in.
Remove all the debris.
Yes.
Okay. And did you have a written contract?
We did not.
Well, that's always a mistake.
Always.
How did you find him?
I believe I got his business card. It was on my personal car, I think at Home Depot. We had bought this house, and we tried to find somebody to do the work, but...
Mr. Rhodes, let me tell you that the best way to find somebody is not somebody who leaves a card on your car at Home Depot or any place else.
Yeah. It was a difficult time to find contractors with COVID and everything at that time.
And at the time, I'm also going to add, because I read in the paper somewhere at the time, he didn't have a license.
He did not.
And you knew he didn't have a license.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I told him, Your Honor.
Just a second. They didn't say no, we didn't know. They said we knew. So you got somebody who had no license to do what you wanted him to do, and you got his number from a card that he left on your windshield. Did you ask for references? That's either a yes or a no.
No, and I'm not really sure actually 100% on where I found that card. I think
it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I mean,
but he did tell us he was in the process of getting his license. That it was coming.
Yeah. I know.
What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. You're two intelligent people. Okay. So you hired an unlicensed contractor to do work on your house and agreed to pay him $11,500. Now, Mr. Attar, the $11,000 included labor and materials. Is that correct?
There was no material. It was labor and bins.
Well, that's material, labor and bins to remove all the equipment that you needed
yes, ma'am.
to complete the job.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Before, too. what I was supposed to do, and I took a picture.
Well, no, I have that.
You have the wrong picture, Your Honor.
Okay, I'd like to see the picture that he has.
Kevin retrieves a photo from Attar, then hands it to Judy.
I was supposed to do from the post all the way to the other post, remove everything, and the pool and the deck.
Mr. Attar, the $11,500 was an all-inclusive figure.
Yes, Your Honor.
One of the things that became an issue is a bobcat.
Correct.
From what I'm piecing together, you hired somebody in a bobcat to do a bobcat. That's a big piece of equipment that knocks down something.
I rented a bobcat.
And somebody who operated it.
My worker.
You didn't know how to operate the bobcat.
I know how to operate bobcat, but I was controlling the demolition site, ma'am. I was like many things were going at the same time. I had to control everything.
Mr. Attar, something happened with the bobcat, the original one that you got. What happened with it?
It broke down on us.
No, it didn't break down on them. It broke down on you.
On us.
It broke down on you.
Yes.
So what did you do?
I took it back, and next day supposed to deliver me another one, but they sent me a drunk driver and another broken down bobcat. I returned it. At that moment, I asked Mrs. Rhodes, can you please go down Home Depot, which is like a mile away, so we don't stop wasting time, rent a bobcat or not.
Just a second. Why should she rent a bobcat, sir? Your $11,500 included the bobcat.
But I paid for it.
No. If you're going to pay for it, that's one thing. Then what are you sending her for? If your $11,500 figure included all materials, then she doesn't have to rent a bobcat. If you rented one that didn't work, rent one that works. How much of a down payment did they give you?
Presume was $4,000.
When did you start the job?
I started the job on 15th of January.
When did you leave the job?
I was asked to leave on the 2nd of February.
On February 2nd?
Yes, ma'am. Not to go back, I'll call the cops on you.
Between January 15th and February 2nd, other than the $4,000, did they give you any other money?
Yes, Your Honor, they did.
How much money did they give you?
They gave me up to $7,000.
So they gave you an additional $3,000?
Yes, and $1,000 check.
Your Honor, that was within the first week we gave him.
It doesn't matter to me. My question was between January 15th and February 2nd, they gave you $7,000.
Correct.
Explain the other $4,200, which is the check that they stopped payment on.
Okay. I'll happily explain to you. The bobcat she rented for me on her behalf, it cost $329 to rent per day. And I rented for one day only, but they charged me $800.
No, that's not correct.
Just a second. I didn't ask you anything.
Okay.
Caption, coming up.
Do you have a photograph of what the property looked like when you left?
Yes, ma'am. The last picture I took before I was kicked out of the property.
You're talking, I'm not listening to you.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Attar and Marion Michael Rhodes.
Michael Attar claims his former clients, Mary and Michael Rhodes, owe for unpaid demolition work. Mary and Michael are countersuing for lost wages, equipment rental, and missing property.
Now, they paid you $7,000.
Correct.
They wrote you another check.
The final check was supposed to be $5,000, but they only gave me $4,200 because they mined $800 for the bobcat rental.
Just a second. First of all, the total bill wasn't 7 and 5. 7 and 5, even my rudimentary math, is $12,000. That would be $500 more than your agreed contract, which was for $11,500.
They gave me $6,500 because they gave me small checks. They gave me the first initial
Just
check,
a second.
They gave me smaller ones.
Sir, you're the businessman, whether you have a license or not. I asked you before how much money did they give you between January 15th and February 2nd, and you said $7,000.
I didn't write it down, Your Honor.
Well, you're here asking for money, and you have to write it down. You have to have some.
I've done performed already. And
No, sir.
And I just did the job, Your Honor. I did 7, 8 other side jobs for them.
I don't care whether you did 7 or 8 side jobs. Your original agreement with them was for $11,500, including all material. Now, what you said to me was that they gave you $7,000, and you said they're supposed to give me another $5,000. Well, another $5,000 is more than your quote.
Ma'am, the balance was $5,000.
How?
The initial check, then they gave me $1,000.
How much money did you give them all together that he cashed?
$7,000.
then they owed you $4,500 pursuant to your agreement.
We agreed to $11,000, not $11,500.
$11,500, Your Honor.
Anybody have any proof of
No,
what the agreed amount was?
We had a verbal contract with me, Mr. Rhodes.
Fine. I will indicate that it's $11,500. If they gave you $7,000, they don't owe you $5,000. They owed you the difference between $11,500 and the $7,000 that they gave you. Now, one of the things that you disputed, Mr. Attar, was this Bobcat. Who paid for the Bobcat? Show me.
They minus it from the final price.
Just a second. Was that an argument?
The argument about is, Your Honor, is they rented for 1 day, but they charged me 2 days, $800. There's no Bobcat rental for $800 for 2 days. I got.
Do you have the bill for the Bobcat?
I do, yes. And it was for 2 days.
Go over a certain time.
Because it was returned late. So they charged a second day. But in his text messages, he did request it for 2 days.
Mary hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
Is that the total price?
Yes, and I did not subtract it from his payment.
Total contract was $652.74?
Yes.
Do you have a photograph of what the property looked like when you left?
Yes, ma'am. The last picture I took before I was kicked out of the property.
You're talking, I'm not listening to you. Just show me a picture.
Yes, ma'am.
Attar hands a photo to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
This is not a picture.
Mr. Attar, you're the businessman.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your company.
Yes, ma'am.
Company requires, A, a license before you operate, which you didn't have.
If you do.
B, it requires a written contract. You're the businessman. They're people who bought a house who got your number off a windshield someplace. You're the businessman, and you want the parameters. You want them fixed. So I don't know if it's $11,000 or $11,500. Do you understand?
Very much, Your Honor.
Right. Well, that's your mistake. You look as if you've probably been in business for a long time.
14 years.
And is what you're telling me you don't have written contracts?
All my contracts are verbal.
Then how many times have you been in court, sir?
Never.
Never.
I never had a stop payment check. Never
Well,
pays me on time, Your Honor.
It's a problem. So when you finished, the debris wasn't all removed.
That wood, they kept telling me, don't touch it. Their neighbor, cousin, whoever's going to come pick it up. That was just cut corked wood.
No. There's brick, there's wood, there's cement.
We cleaned all that. I personally cleaned
Just
all
a second. What I asked you, Mr. Attar, was show me a picture of the property when you left. This is the picture that you showed me.
That was the last, before I had more work, I came in and did more. I wasn't taking pictures. I wasn't expecting somebody to stop payment on a check, Your Honor. I was not expecting that.
What it looked like when he left.
Mary hands a photo to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Well, what are you showing me here? This brick that's here?
They piled it there and then left it there.
Well, that's probably a good one.
No, it was supposed to be removed.
So this is the back.
That's the picture of the sagging patio because he removed part of the supports that were holding up the patio that he wasn't supposed to. So it's now sagging.
Now, this is the picture that you gave me when you told me this is what you wanted, leveled, cleared, and made flat.
Right.
Now, I want to see your picture of what this looked like when he left.
You have it. It's in some of those photos.
Flat leveled.
You're talking about this?
Yeah.
That's part of it. The close-ups, that's part of it.
Well, it looks like most of the stuff is done. It looked like a lot of cleanup left.
No, ma'am. We've done all the cleanup.
Well, I haven't seen that, so then what you're supposed to do is take a photograph.
It was also buried underneath. These are the photos of when we did it ourselves and really leveled it out. And as we were doing that, we found so much buried underneath that should have been removed, but his Bobcat person buried it all.
Your Honor.
I mean, buried
all the debris, all the concrete brick.
Okay, let me see the bill from the...
No, we did it ourselves. We rented equipment and did it ourselves on his vacation.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay, $4,500 is so far what's owed on this contract. Now, your counterclaim is money owed for lost work, equipment rentals, labor and missing damages to property. What money owed for lost work?
During the second week that he was working, he called and said that his crew had left. This was the second day of use of, supposed to be use of the Bobcat that I rented.
Okay, if you interrupt me again, I'm just dismissing your case. Do you understand?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. So just explain lost work. Who's lost work?
His.
Oh, forget it.
Well, he called and said his crew left.
Forget it.
He can't finish the job.
You weren't living there.
Not yet, no.
You weren't living there. Okay. He wants to go, go. I'm not interested in his lost wages for taking care of his house. So far, you owe the man the balance on his contract unless you had somebody else do it, which is absolutely fine. And I would look at that removal of debris, what it costs you, and you're absolutely entitled to that. Deducted from what you owe him, which is $4,500.
But he didn't finish the job.
Just a second. You tell me, how am I supposed to gauge how much of the job he didn't finish? Did he not complete $2,500 worth, $3,500 worth, $1,500 worth?
I think the $7,000 we paid him was overpaid. He didn't have to end up removing an entire pool. He only had to remove...
That's your problem. Just a second. I read that. You said it's not a big pool. It wasn't 8 feet. It was only 24 inches. He gave you a price to level everything. Nothing delineated, nothing in a written contract. The pool turns out to be 2 feet instead of 6 feet or 2 feet instead of 8 feet. Well, if he was the contractor and he came out and he looked at the pool, he said, oh, this is an 8-foot pool, and it turned out it's a 12-foot pool, he'd be stuck with 11.5, just like you're stuck with 11.5 because it was shallower. Now, you owe him $4,500 unless you want to produce for me bills that you have for rental equipment, et cetera, and I will absolutely deduct that from the $4,500. Just give me the bills and the amount of equipment. Don't say nothing, Mr. Rittard. Mr. Rhodes, did you rent a Bobcat?
The one that I cleaned up the yard with?
Yes.
I rented a piece of equipment.
Jump up!
Yes.
Caption, coming up.
And you know how they pick up metal?
No, I don't know that, sir. I'm a television personality. I don't know about people driving down the street to pick up metal. I've never had somebody drive down the street and say, I'm looking for metal. They don't even come down my street and ask if I want sharp knives.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Attar and Mary and Michael Rhodes.
Michael Attar has accused his former clients, Mary and Michael Rhodes, of refusing to pay for demolition work. Mary and Michael claim he never finished the job and stole their property.
Now, what did you rent?
A skip loader.
That's different from a Bobcat.
Yes, that's correct.
Smaller?
I would say bigger.
Bigger. And do you remember how much it cost you? Did you rent it from Home Depot?
No. It's from a local rental yard. I think it was
All the equipment we rented
in Ontario.
was $1,300.
Yeah.
Find it.
Yeah.
Find the bill.
They didn't print it, so now I gotta.
How many days did you have it, Mr. Rhodes?
4.
I'm dismissing your counterclaim, Mrs. Rhodes. Do you want to know why? Because I asked him a specific question, and you answered. Do you understand? Do you understand? That part of your counterclaim, because you don't have it, you can't find it. So far, you owe him $4,500. Not $8,600, but $4,500. Now, do you have any proof that Mr. Attar or someone from his team stole copper piping or whatever piping that you claim was missing? Do you have any proof that either Mr. Attar or anyone under his authority took property from you?
Yes. We have text messages back and forth.
Okay, I'll read them.
Mary produces a document, then hands it to Kevin. He brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
Okay, so what you're referring to with regard to the stolen property is you send a picture and there's a little piece of pipe there, one piece of pipe, and you say, Mike, did you or you guys happen to grind off 2 metal poles and concrete blocks? The kids use those for volleyball nets. And he says, oh my God, no, sir, but I'm guessing the person whom I gave my metal to, no problem, Michael, please give, and I don't see the rest of this message.
Yes, so that was the beginning of things we noticed that were missing.
Oh, I don't care.
And then,
this is what you're talking about?
Yes, he's saying he let a metal person onto our yard, and they went and took everything that was metal.
Okay.
Attar shakes his head.
Okay. Now, Mr. Attar.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want you to tell me about the missing metal on this property.
She was standing right there, and there was a metal guy that drives down the street. And you know how they pick up metal?
No, I don't know that, sir. I'm a television personality. I don't know about people driving down the street to pick up metal. I've never had somebody drive down the street and say, I'm looking for metal. They don't even come down my street and ask if I want sharp knives.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Very much, Your
Do you
Honor.
understand?
Very much, Your Honor.
Okay. Who is this person?
This person was picking up metal, and I
Just
asked for permission. I said, ma'am,
Just a
can he come
second.
down the property?
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Was this person picking up metal for nothing?
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
a second. Yeah. You're a business guy. Mr. Rattar, somebody drives down the street and says, you know, I see you doing construction. Is there any metal around here that you want me to dispose of?
Yes, ma'am. They do a lot.
Yes. And then they look around. This is what you tell them. They look around and they take the metal for nothing.
Yes, ma'am. This would be cheaper for me instead of load it on my trailer and take it to the recycling metal yard.
So what metal did they take, sir? I assume
Everything
what?
that I gave him.
What
was
did you
right
give
there.
them?
Nobody went up there and cut no poles, ma'am.
Well, they sent you a picture of a pole, sir, and in response to the picture of pole, you said, oh, my God, I'm guessing the person whom I gave my metal to.
I'm guessing.
No problem. And then you say later, tell me what it is, and I will either look high and low to get it back or replace it. That's what you say.
Yes, I offered to replace it.
That's what you say.
I offered to replace it.
Now, next question. I need an itemized list and what the value was of the metal taken.
No, there's a list of everything. They're listed in there.
Mary hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
What is this?
Those are all the damages, but the metal is listed in there separately of the items that are missing.
No, it isn't. This is a whole bunch of other things that you prepared for
but
this case.
It's in there underneath. There's the horse feeder. Part of the corral was cut off.
This is something that you wrote yourself.
Yes, you
This
said
isn't
an itemized
this isn't
list.
If they took 6 feet of pipe, get me a bill from Home Depot for the replacement of that pipe.
Oh, I have
all the bills for the replacement of metal, not what you prepared for this litigation.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Itemized list.
Mary hands another document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Did you take down a horse corral?
No, Your Honor, I did not take no horse corral. I have nothing
Horse
to
corral,
do.
is that metal or is it?
It's made out of galvanized metal, yeah. They cut pieces off of that were sticking up to take to recycle, I guess.
Just a second. Was there a 4-sided horse corral?
Yes.
That looked like this?
Yes.
That they took down?
They cut pieces that were sticking up above the horse corral, attached to the horse corral.
You're being petty. You're being petty. $306, Ram's price, galvanized wall-mounted horse feeder. Did you take a horse feeder?
No, Your Honor, I got no.
Yo, Mr. Rattar, $4,500. Judgment for the plaintiff. Counterclaims dismissed. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Mary, then Attar.
Well, his equipment broke, and he wanted us to rent the equipment for him.
Equipment died because things break down.
And then the next day, he calls and says he can't finish it.
At that moment, I didn't have a credit card to my name. And that's the honest truth.
So we pretty much figured that was job abandonment at that point.
I'm going to have a written contract in the future. Don't hire
Always
him.
hire a professional.
Sarah and Judy.
I could not believe that your first question to him when he said that he'd been working as a contractor for 14 years was, and you've been working all 14 of those years unlicensed?
Oh, yeah.
I was waiting for the question. I was waiting at the edge of my seat, and it never came.
Different minds. Yeah. Should have slipped me a note.
I should have.
You should have slipped me a note. No, that actually didn't cross my mind, but that's a good question.
Yeah. Oral contracts and no license.
No license, but there's no question. He did the work.
Yeah. No, I agree.
He did the work, and they were really dickering over who was going to absorb the cost of the second Bobcat that they had to get, which was really ridiculous. If they had had another contractor who came and completed the job,
you would have awarded that.
I would have deducted it from the $4,500 that they owed him. But absent that, the fact that he rented some sort of piece of equipment and came and cleaned up the property was not important to me, and the rest of their case was nonsense. Next time, they won't employ somebody for $11,000 from a card from your windshield.
At Home Depot.
From anywhere. Wherever, and not say, okay, listen, maybe I'll give him a shot. Give me 3 of your last references to call.
It's a good lesson to people out there,
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we're done.
Title, Judy Justice.
Have you been cheated? Go to judyjustice.tv. Palin are suing Heather's ex-husband, Scott Manis, for impound fees, harassment, and defamation.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Case 2142, Brown, Palin versus Mannings.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Palin, this is your former husband.
That is correct, Your Honor.
How long were you married?
18 years?
And this is your daughter?
Correct.
Is this your only child?
With Mr. Manis, it is.
Yes.
Yes.
You have other children?
One other, yes.
How old?
32.
When did you and Mr. Manis separate?
I moved out of the family home in March of 2018.
And this is your boyfriend?
Correct.
I'm going to, in broad strokes, at least try to reconcile both the complaint and the answer in this case. I assume there was a time when your daughter, whose first name is? Trisha was living with you after the separation.
We had a mutual divorce decree of 50-50.
And was that honored?
Until September 4th of 2020, Mr. Manis had brought Trisha back to my home. And while we were out of the home, he had her pack her belongings.
No, okay. Let's stop there. Trisha, how old are you?
I'm 19, Your Honor.
Right subsequent to the separation and the divorce, until September of 2020, you shared custody.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
And then Trisha decided she would prefer to live with her father.
Correct.
For whatever reason. I don't have to go into it, because this doesn't really have to do with who she chose to live with or where she was living. It has to do with a car. Okay. So while she was living with Mr. Manis, Mr.